What a lot of people don't tell you about sewing is that it's actually much harder than it seems. If this sounds too discouraging, don't worry, because while it's not easy, it only requires one thing. I'll get into that later. I was making an in-depth tutorial on how to make this ballerina-inspired wrap skirt. If you look at the pattern, it's actually quite simple, just like a big piece of fabric sewn with a long strip of waistband. I could make that in 2 minutes, you might think, but it took me 3 hours to sew this. Mind you, I've been sewing on and off for 2 years now, and I've made much more complicated items before, like this gown. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that there's actually a lot more effort that goes into a single simple garment like this than you might expect, especially if you've never sewn before. I mean, there are so many steps involved in making a garment, like drafting, measuring, cutting, tracing, overlocking, sewing, ironing, hemming, trying it on to see if it fits, modifying, unraveling wrong stitches, restitching, and a ton of other minor steps, all of which can make sewing quite frustrating, to be honest. I can't even count the number of times sewing has pushed me to the edge of my sanity. When I first started sewing, I thought maybe sewing is just not my thing. But the more I talked to other students in my class, the more I realized that everyone felt the same when it first started out, thinking sewing was an easy peasy hobby since people online made it look so effortless. However, the good news is that just like any other skill, you improve project after project. What 2 years of sewing has taught me is that the biggest obstacle to this craft is actually impatience. I've seen many other students in the class who started out unable to sew straight stitches and now create beautiful garments. So if you're considering picking up sewing and stay sane at the same time, be sure to equip yourself with lots of patience. Take care and happy sewing, everyone.